Tomorrow morning.
Experts rely on the Weather Channel. We keep you ahead of the storm. In the next half hour, Weather Center PM, a comprehensive national forecast. At 40 after, Weather Center PM continues with highway and air travel conditions. Then the weekend outlook. And at 50 after, Storm Watch. But right now, it's your local forecast on the Weather Channel. Next on Weather Center, the Northeast gets a soaking and elsewhere spring fever strikes. Those stories plus in-depth forecasts and analysis on this edition of Weather Center.
It is an awful night in the Northeast to be out and about. Wind, rain, cold temperatures. But it will improve, and we'll talk about that coming up. Good evening. Welcome to Weather Center. I'm Jeff Morrow.
Feels like a fall day up in the Northeast. Thanks for joining us. I'm Sharon Result, and you've also had a wet day in parts of the West and in the middle of the nation. There is weather to brag about. Jeff's going to tell you about that. But we're going to begin with the eastern rain, and you have certainly had a wet, cold evening rush hour in the Boston area. With the wind, it's been tough to manage the umbrella. It's gusting at times to 40 miles an hour. Now you can expect wet streets for much of the night as the wet weather makes its way out of the Boston area. But you know something? That's going to take some time. We'll talk more about the duration of the rain in a little bit. Want to show you what's happening in the here and now across the Northeast, and indeed, we're finding quite a bit of rainfall. You can see that the clouds actually extend out into western sections of New York, even on into eastern Ohio. But not the rain. The rain encompasses a much smaller area, but we are finding some moderate to heavy rain with some of these bands. The area of low pressure centered right about, let's put it back into motion, right about in here, and you can see that counterclockwise circulation around it. So the bands of rain moving inland and moving on westward. And where you see the darker greens and the yellows, that's generally where we're finding some of the heavier rainfall. There's the area of low pressure from a surface perspective. A lot of wind associated with this too. Notice it's very close to the coast, and the tight gradient here, if you were to analyze this on the map and you were to draw all the isobars, the lines of equal pressure, you'd see that they're fairly close together. So we're getting quite a bit of wind coming in out of the east to northeast, and in fact many areas reporting those gusts up and over 40 miles per hour. So it's blustery indeed, and it must have been tough to try and keep those umbrellas in good shape. Have you ever tried that in a real brisk wind? Well, fortunately, the rain is winding down a little bit around Boston. You're into kind of a dry slot here. There are still some areas of showers. Looking at some rain that's going to be heading right around the Worcester area, maybe points just on north of that. Notice the extent all the way up toward Portland, Maine, and heading southward into Hartford, and certainly on into New York City and around Islip, still seeing quite a bit of rainfall. As a matter of fact, getting reports of some delays here at the airport up around Boston, and also heading on into LaGuardia, significant delays of 30 minutes or so, and down to one runway, I believe, in and around the Boston area. So the low cloud deck, the low ceiling, the heavy rain, the wind, kind of slowing things down for your travels here into the Northeast. In Philadelphia, you're just kind of getting brushed with some of these showers. For the most part, folks here had to get the umbrella out, and it certainly came in handy, but the rain was off and on and fairly light. Some folks could even share an umbrella in this kind of instance. as the rainfall just was not coming down very heavy in and around the Philly area. So you got a bit of a break, but your neighbors to the northeast dealing with more of a persistent wet pattern. Gale and storm warnings in effect here. There's the gale warnings, the Merrimack River all the way back down towards Sandy Hook, New Jersey. It includes areas like Long Island Sound and around Block Island. And just to prove the point that it's jacket weather in the northeast, talking about quite a bit of cool air, readings in the 40s. Jeff?
Well, some of that cool air, Sharon, was felt even into the south. Kind of an interesting looking day across the Carolinas and on back into Georgia and East Tennessee and even northeast Alabama. You would have these breaks in the clouds. You'd have a brilliant blue sky between these towering, billowing cumulus clouds that popped up with the unstableness of the air. It could be gorgeously sunny for 5 minutes, and then a big dark cloud will move over you, and you could even have some rain. And in a few spots there was even perhaps a little bit more thunder and lightning. But that was the exception rather than the rule today, as most of the energy is starting to pull away. Sharon was showing you the main action up there over New England, but still enough unstable air spiraling around our upper level low to bring us a few showers now moving through Raleigh and on over toward Wilson, North Carolina, also down along the Savannah River and south of Macon. But again, as the sun has set now and as we get deeper into the evening, a lot of this shower activity is going to pretty much go by the boards. But it is cool. It's almost into the 40s, and that's at Hartsfield Airport. Some of the northern suburbs may be kind of hovering into the upper 40s right now. 52 along the Battery in Charleston. You have to take a heavier jacket out there for a stroll tonight. 69 in Miami is not bad, and a beautiful evening in San Antonio. Dallas not bad, and 65 at Oklahoma City. Farther north, we have a cold front coming in, and in the forecast, Sharon will talk about how this is going to kick that low out of the northeast, so it's a friendly cold front, I guess you'd have to say. As we head farther to the south, though, south of that front, places like the Twin Cities, a gorgeous day today, 70 degrees, and this is Chamber of Commerce weather. Spring is just busting out all over in the land of 10,000 lakes. Again, a high of about 73 degrees. Some folks out in the shorts and t-shirts. A great day to be outside. A little bit of a breeze at times, but hey, that just made it feel that much nicer. 74 is the current reading at Scottsbluff, Nebraska, 71 at Kansas City. Enjoy this nice weather while we have it, because as we head toward the weekend, it's going to get a little bit stormy here. But look how much above average these temperatures were. Below average in the southeast, above average in the west. With more on the west, here's Sharon.
Not a very friendly front out to the west, though. You've had wind and wet weather across parts of the west today. It has been raining on the California capital for really much of the day. The rain moved into the Sacramento area just before lunchtime. Along with the rain, you're also coping with really some much cooler weather. Temperatures in the lower to middle 60s. And there's a look at the radar, and you can see how the rain continues. Some of these thunderstorms